How can subtracting rational expressions simplify? Imagine you have two fractions that look complicated, but you need to subtract them. Instead of working with two separate pieces, you can combine them into one simpler expression. That's where subtracting rational expressions becomes helpful. When you do it right, it makes solving equations or inequalities much easier. First, remember that a rational expression is just a fraction where both the top and bottom are polynomials. When subtracting two rational expressions, you cannot just subtract the numerators unless the denominators are exactly the same. So, the first step is to find a common denominator. Think of it like finding a common language so the fractions can talk to each other. To do this, start by factoring the denominators of each rational expression. Factoring means breaking down the polynomial into smaller parts, like turning a big number into prime factors. This helps you see what the least common denominator is. The least common denominator is the smallest expression that both denominators can divide into evenly. It's like finding the smallest common multiple for numbers, but for algebraic expressions. Next, rewrite each rational expression with this common denominator. To do that, you multiply the numerator and denominator of each fraction by whatever factors are needed to turn their denominators into the least common denominator. This step makes the fractions compatible for subtraction. Now subtract the numerators. Be very careful to distribute the subtraction sign across the entire numerator. Once you do that, you will have a single fraction. The last step is to simplify this new expression. You can do this by combining like terms in the numerator, factoring if possible, and canceling any common factors between the numerator and the denominator. Simplifying rational expressions by subtracting them helps in many ways. It reduces the number of parts you are working with, making it easier to evaluate or graph. It also reveals opportunities to cancel out common factors, giving you the simplest form of the expression. This process is especially useful when solving equations or inequalities involving rational expressions because it turns a complicated problem into a straightforward one. For example, if you subtract two rational expressions with denominators like x plus 1 and x plus 3, you first find the least common denominator, which is the product of those two factors. Then, rewrite each fraction with that denominator, subtract the numerators, and simplify. This way, you turn a complex subtraction into a single, manageable expression. In the end, subtracting rational expressions simplifies your work by combining multiple fractions into one. It makes it easier to analyze, solve, or graph the problem. Following these steps carefully helps you handle algebraic expressions confidently and see how the process reduces complexity in your calculations.